Because it's 5:50, and I'd like to call the February 4th Park and Rec meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge.
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call has been taken. Look for a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Bernie and seconded by John Hass. Excuse me. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I look for adopting of the January 7th meeting minutes.
Move to approve the January 7th minutes.
I'll second it.
Motion made by John Touche, seconded by Bernie. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment? No public comment? Ginger? Well, I should, before that,
Yeah.
I would like to, maybe we should do a little introductory around the room here tonight. You can start out with me, Robert Visaw, First District Alderperson.
I guess I'm Laura Scher, new here, obviously. So I'm excited. I've never done anything through the city before, so I'm excited to get a little
Well,
more.
That's not true.
Well, okay. I have taught classes through the Park and Rec department, so I do have some experience there, but as far as this piece of it, I have not, so.
So Laura's gonna be our next citizen member, so you'll be seeing her at all the Park and Rec meetings. Welcome, Laura. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Belinda Croy, District 2 Alderperson.
John Hass, District 2 Alderman.
Dennis Schroeder, District 3 Alderperson.
Bernie Ritchie, District 3 Alderperson.
John Touche, District 1 Alderperson.
Robert Prezenka, a local citizen member.
Tim Roberts, District 4.
Charlene Migalski, District 5 Alderman.
Mike Barrington, District 5.
Taylor Riker, Student Representative.
Chad Hurt, the city administrator.
Mark Herter, Mayor.
Chris Clark, the Administrative Assistant.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. So this is kind of how we go about things, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
All the formalities are done. I guess we'll turn it over to you, Ginger.
All right, so we have Joe Stephenson here from East Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission, along with Carmen, and they are going to be presenting kind of an overview of what a comprehensive outdoor recreation plan is. As I mentioned, when we requested the funding for this, according to Administrative Code, Wisconsin Administrative Code, in order to participate in some of the grant programs, in all of the grant programs at the state and federal level, local governments must have this in place. And so it's East Central's job to help us gather information from the community to see the greatest needs in New London. So Joe, I'll hand it over to you and go from there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna share my screen quick. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Cool. So yeah, Carmen and I are gonna run through a little bit of just what East Central's process for going through comprehensive outdoor recreation plans, or CORP for short. And we'll give you a little bit of look as to how we put those together and then what our next steps are kind of moving forward. So I will actually hand it over to Carmen to start off with.
Hi, everyone. My name is Carmen Ebert. I'm actually fairly new at East Central, so I'm looking forward to working on this comprehensive outdoor recreation plan with you guys. So a brief agenda, what we'll be going over, introductions. I just introduced myself. Joe, I don't know if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so Joe Stevenson, I am I wear a bunch of hats at East Central. My title is Economic Development Planner, but I also manage our contracts division. So both Carmen and I will be working pretty closely on this plan moving forward.
Yeah, and so we'll do an overview of what a outdoor rec plan entails. And so first off, though, who is East Central Regional Planning Commission? We were established to serve as a coordinating organization between federal, state, and local governments. East Central also provides planning services to individuals of government, including transportation planning, water quality management planning, economic development planning, comprehensive planning, as well as the comprehensive outdoor recreation planning. And you can see the region that we cover here with our main counties in the darker orange, and then the 3 counties that we offer some support to: Waushara, Marquette, and Green Lake. And so what is a CORP? So it is a comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, as we mentioned. We assist local communities with their comprehensive outdoor recreation plan updates to protect, preserve, and enhance their environment now and for future generations. They are critical documents that typically include geography, demographics, current conditions inventory, needs assessments for facilities, safe access to park audits, goals, objectives, and a 5-year action plan for implementation strategy. So these plans are updated every 5 years. You can see an example on the screen was the comprehensive outdoor rec plan for the city of Shawano. And so these plans must be completed every 5 years, as I mentioned, in order to be eligible for the Wisconsin DNR stewardship grants and other funding sources as well. These stewardship grants fund local park infrastructure, boat ramp facilities, trails, and land purchases for parks. The city last adopted their plan in 2020, and the plan goes through 2025, hence why we are updating it this year in 2025.
So I'll give you a little bit of background on previous planning efforts through East Central. So East Central did kind of completely revamp their comprehensive outdoor rec plans last year. We ended up doing City of Shawano, Town of Buchanan under kind of a new model where we're really trying to make sure that this plan is usable, right? We want it to be concise. We want it to be able to be used by both citizens and practitioners. That means we're really trying to skinny down the number of chapters, the number of words we're using, a lot of graphics, a lot of maps. I will note that those graphics and maps, we do also pop out at the end. So while they will be throughout your plan, we do give you a file filled with all those graphics and maps for anything that you guys would want to use later on. If you just want to print the maps on their own, sometimes we've had communities give us feedback that they just like to use the graph in a PowerPoint that they're going to present to their council or to the community. So we found a little bit of being able to bring that stuff out individually helps people quite a bit. While we did make a concise effort to try to shrink down these plans and make them really usable, we do still follow all the state guidelines and all the state statutes that you will need to have in a corp to make sure it follows state guidelines and you can apply for those funding sources. To give you a little bit of background, so one of the kind of meat and potatoes part of a corp is we do have a park inventory process. So we go through all of your parks, all of your recreation facilities, and then any other kind of natural areas that you identify as important. We do inventory all the amenities out there, and then we kind of take a really concise look at each of these spaces and see if there are any other amenities that they could use or if there's any maintenance or update issues that should be coming forward. That all kind of leads into the action plan. So each corp of ours is going to come with an action plan that kind of outlines what sort of things you should be doing in this next 5 years. We break it out by park. So as you can kind of see on that right-hand side, as we did with Shawano, we have each of their parks labeled and then each of the actions that should occur underneath each of those. I will note the action plan is not, while it is a good guide and it's a good way to kind of stay on top of things, it isn't prescriptive. You do not have to, you can move things out of order. You cannot do things. Really what I recommend to communities when we do this is kind of throw the kitchen sink at it and make sure you have just about everything on there you think you could do in the park situation. And that's going to help you down the line for grant funding because they're going to want to see that you have identified a park update or a playground that needs to be replaced. And if you don't replace that playground, then no harm done. We'll keep it in the next plan, but it's important to have it on there in that action plan if you do want to move forward with it. Looking at the timeline that we are putting together this, so we are starting our kickoff meeting obviously today. We into that April and June area is kind of when we start digging into community engagement and public feedback. And then we are ultimately trying to complete this plan during September. Throughout this whole process, we are gathering data. We are touching base with your staff. Whenever a Parks Commission, or City Council, either body wants an update, we are perfectly willing to give those updates. We will be involving the Parks Board from time to time just to make sure we all know we're on the same track and on the same kind of working together hand in glove to make sure that we're making this plan both for the community and for East Central helping you guys. Some of the things I kind of touched on. So East Central, we are going to give you that that community engagement, that facility community engagement survey. We work with the Parks Board, Parks Commission to formulate goals and objectives. That is a really important part here. So as the Parks Commission, Parks Board, the goals and objectives that we come up with, we are driven by like community input and professional input, but ultimately the Parks Board will have to vote and recommend those goals. So we do like to have really good input from this body on that. We also do a needs analysis. It's both a health and recreation needs analysis as part of the document that's per state statute. And we identify improvements, projects, and other enhancements that you'll need moving forward. Kind of our next steps after this meeting is Carmen and I will start getting together a little bit of our community engagement stuff. We'll start working on the survey. We'll get together it's called a social pinpoint website for the project. And all of those things, obviously, when we complete them, we do run them by staff and try to make sure that they're comfortable with it as well. But just a little bit on our social pinpoint. So we've had a good success with social pinpoint. So it's a dedicated website we put together for this project. The two kind of main features of it are we have the capability to put out a survey through that document, then also putting together this mapping application. So the survey really tailored each community. We'll develop those questions and then run them by you. But this is going to be something that we can push out on your guys' social media. We can bring it to pop-up events if we need to. We can give you hard copies if needed. Really just trying to get the community's feedback on what they feel the current situation of parks are and what they feel like moving forward. And then the other kind of new thing we added is this interactive map. I really like this. We put up your community. We list show all the parks, all the trails, and then people can drag and drop different comments, different suggestions, needs, improvements, things of that nature into this map, and then they can identify it in more of a visual way. We did have really good response rates from both Buchanan and Shawano last season doing corps. Both the survey and the interactive map were pretty well attended. They were both answered quite a bit. We also, we try to hit, I would say we do community vision in 2 sessions or 2 segments. We really try to get that digital stuff out there for folks that can't maybe make it down to a in-person visioning session, but we also do a lot of in-person stuff. So with Shawano, we did a visioning session for their high schoolers, and then we did a visioning session for just the community-wide, anybody who wanted to join. And then we also had a pop-up event. We went to one of their music festivals and did a little pop-up event there. We are pretty flexible in this regard. We'll take the lead from you guys on what those visioning sessions look like, how many we really want to do. And if you wanted to do 3 visioning sessions and no pop-up event or 2 pop-up events, we're pretty flexible in that regard. But I do really enjoy our visioning session we did with both Buchanan and Shawano for just the community-wide one was we do try to make them very interactive. It's not just us sitting and talking to you. We give maybe a 20-minute presentation, and then we break into a handful of groups. and each of those groups have a task kind of at each of their tables. One of the tasks that I found was helpful was we give people, we give them 3 coins, and then we ask them where they would allocate their money or which parks they would allocate their money to. And then you really get to see what people value in community and what they would be willing to actually spend dollars on. That was one of the things that Shawano really wanted to know moving into their corp was where people wanted money spent, not just what they liked. So that's my presentation. If you guys have any questions on our end, I'm all ears. But other than that, I think we're done.
Okay. Any questions for either of them or me?
I guess my question regarding this, are we looking at specifically just the parks, or is this a parks and rec?
It's outdoor recreation, some primarily the capital projects that would include and activities within open rec.
Okay, okay.
Correct, Joe?
Yeah, yep. So this is a comprehensive look at it. It's not just parks, it's parks and recreation. So I mean, you would, if you have other facilities or other like natural areas that are not specifically parks, we look at those as well.
What about indoor facilities?
We can look at indoor facilities with Shawano. They have a I think it's just called a rec center, but it's a pool and a weight room. So we included that, and they were really interested in getting feedback on that area. So we can do facilities as well.
Okay.
I guess one of my questions that just has recently come to mind with me and a few conversations that I've been having is, why are residents of New London leaving New London? What recreation are they leaving New London for? What kinds of things are they not getting in New London that we can look at providing, 5, 10, 15 years from now, so we can have that kind of plan? So my question is, are those kinds of questions added in the survey? As I would really like to know why, are they leaving New London for soccer or hockey, or what kind of recreation activities are they leaving New London for?
Yeah, and we can, so our surveys are really open-ended. We can add any questions that you want. I will say that a lot of our standard questions, there will be things in there that's like, I don't know the exact verbiage off the top of my head, but things like, what are you missing? Or what recreation amenity is not offered at Central Park USA, or things like that. We could more directly ask a question like yours, say specifically, why do you go to, what's another reason to go to town over? Or we can have other questions that kind of allude to that. And
there's always, I guess my question, for me, I want to know a little bit more directly, because we know that there are things that the community of New London want here in New London, but they're not necessarily leaving New London because they don't have it here. But we do know that, people are leaving New London for certain aspects. Hockey would be one of them. We don't have a hockey rink. We don't have a hockey team, that kind of stuff. So what are people leaving New London for that might be something that we would look at in the future?
And I'll make a note of that. Maybe Ginger will follow up when I start putting together the survey questions, and we can kind of wordsmith that.
Absolutely.
This kind of touches with economic development also with the stuff we're talking about. So
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's
kind of links together, I think, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have any other questions for him? Thank you for the presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So then I look for a motion to consider the approval agreement with East Central Wisconsin Regional Planning.
I'll make a motion to approval agreement with East Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission for 5-year comprehensive outdoor recreation plan.
Second.
John made the motion. John Hass made the motion. John Pache seconded it. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right. We'll keep in touch, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Ginger, consider approval agreement with Blue Stem Forestry.
Okay, so this is another one of the capital projects that we went over. This is the contract for that, tree inventory. Blue Stem, we've had history with Blue Stem, and I talked to, not only the president of the company, but also a couple other arborists and our urban forestry coordinator with the DNR. And there were some issues with the last inventory in 2006. After speaking with the president of the company, she understood those issues and corrected them. And it was suggested by the urban forestry coordinator that it would be best to stay with the same company. It would be a little less work, even though it's been so long since we've had a tree inventory done. It's still helpful to have the company that we worked for or worked with in the past to come in again because they're more familiar with the area. This is partially funded by the urban forestry grant. This service will include the GIS formatting to go into our services so that we'll have those two surfaces that we'll be able to purchase and then be able to modify the inventory within our system, which will be really nice to make sure that we keep this up to date and use it. I was just talking to Robert today. We're cutting down all these ash trees and we're kind of going about it like he mentioned that there was one over here that they had cut, and then I know that they've been doing, Warner Allen. And I said, well, why are we all the way out there doing it? And this will give us more of a systematic process. We can go into zones and go into, they categorize trees by crown dieback and diameter and age and everything like that. And so that will help in our cutting of trees and trimming of trees, but then also in the other retrospective planting trees and where trees have been removed and where we can plant new trees and going through a system and not just kind of going everywhere within the city. And it'll be much more efficient forestry management. So
Telling you what kind of trees grow in certain conditions.
Yep. And when they're, how often they need to be watered even, we can go through even to that extent with it. So it'll be helpful, especially because there's going to be a lot of that in the next 5 years.
Any other questions for Ginger? Look for a motion to consider approval agreement with Blue Stem Forestry for tree inventory.
I'll make a motion to consider agreement with Stem Forestry.
Second.
Motion been made by Bernie, second by John Shea to approve the agreement with Blue Stem Forestry for tree inventory. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. I have one question. Am I correct? The citizens and they can all make motions?
Correct.
Okay, just so you guys all know that if you see something, you want to make a motion or second, you can do the same thing.
Thank you.
Hey, Ginger, ash trees.
What do you
You
know?
have to be on the committee to make the motion.
Yes,
correct.
correct.
Yeah, the citizen members he was talking
Citizen
about.
members,
Right.
they're on the committee.
Okay.
Ash tree disposal, Ginger?
Sure. So after our last meeting, I was instructed to kind of look into a way to dispose of the ash tree that we have been cutting lately. I reached out to the city of Marshfield, the city of West Bend, and then also spoke with Rob Way, who you all know as the director at Winnebago County, retired. From their research and past experiences, along with the influx of phone calls that we've gotten from the community requesting the wood, I put together a process, and this is just I threw it together. I thought this could be, the way to go about things, if you guys agree with it. And it's just to put together a process that would first of all be provide a service to the community. We've had so many requests for the wood, for wood burning stoves and, you know, whether it's campfires, wood burning stoves, whatever it is. And to also be ethically responsible. There are some concerns still that the DNR has about emerging pests, not necessarily the emerald ash borer, but others. And then to cover our assets, from a liability standpoint. With this process, it will not involve any other city assistance in loading, and we will not allow chainsaws or saws on our city property. So that will equal time and money saved. The buyer will know what they're getting because they will bid on a particular chosen pile. They can have the opportunity to view the pile that they're bidding on before they get it. Right now, the crews are stacking in staged lots. So those lots will each be put together intentionally, with some having larger limbs that possibly a large company could come and load. And others will be small and compact so that an average Joe Schmo citizen could come with a Chevy Silverado and throw them in the back of his truck. Larger cities have used contracted, tub grinders to come in and do a quick, easy disposal. I know that both of these communities that I talked to did that as well, but then also have had enough to be able to put some out to bid to the community. So that's an option too. We certainly do not have as much volume as a lot of cities do, luckily, but we do still have a lot. Enough to where the contract that we have with DTAC would raise a red flag if we were bringing in that many to them, and we have to take that physically to them right now, and that would be time lost from our department. So the policy that I put together kind of just goes through, these are the guidelines. Each lot would be sold separately to the highest bidder. And I don't know what it would be worth. You know, if it's $1, it's $1, but at least we have name, address, contact information. We have the intent in which county they plan to deliver. Whether they're telling us the truth or not, that's on them. But we do need to still take that information. Because there has been an emergence in what is called the spongy moth, which some of you may know as gypsy moth. And this is a reemergence that has quarantined, I would say, 3/4 of the state. The western part of the state is not quarantined right now, so we cannot take to that part of the state. So if you have a cabin in Eau Claire, you would not be able to purchase the wood here in New London and take it to Eau Claire. Some other things would be that we would have that liability signed saying that if you get hurt loading or unloading, it's not on us. Like I said, it's their responsibility to inspect all the lots before placing the bid. We'll have a date that they have to be removed by so that it's not sitting out on our lot for an extended period of time. And potentially maybe we'll make some money. I don't know. That's all, you know, that's how a sealed bid goes. And this is an asset that the community has right now. I think that wood is considered an asset, just like an old beat up pickup truck that we've been driving for miles and miles and miles and we sell for $500. Same situation. I guess with that being said, I'd open it up to questions, comments, thoughts on this process.
So if we're cutting all these trees down and you said that wouldn't be fair to throw all that brush in with the DTAC stuff, where's all that gonna go?
So our tops are going to DTAC. The logs are staying down at the, they're locked in the wastewater treatment plant lot right now. And we would do it in 5-year periods. the timing of the tree inventory is critical because in the next 4 years, we can then have a little bit more systematic work being done with that. But this year was primarily with the parks crew, at least Hatton Parks, this golf course area, so.
So as they're cutting trees all throughout this winter, are them trees being stacked up in the lots right
Yep,
now?
they are. Yep.
I like the idea, simply it stops people from fighting over who's gonna be getting the wood. It ends the discussion about that. Like, see, all my buddies get it, but why can't I get it? So I like it for that simple aspect, because it makes it a little fairer for everybody.
I agree. Throughout the community, I've heard lots of people asking, oh, can anybody just go down to the local parks where it's being cut and piled while they're working? Can they just go get it? You know, can I go get a truckload? How much is it? The only concern I would have about having it at the city is that if you actually have an ash tree that's 4 foot in diameter and 8 feet long, you're gonna have somebody there with a 6,000 series skid steer. And the only concern I'd have with that, with them loading, is making sure they're watching for other people around them, property, etc. Because we got every Joe Blow around there that's operating heavy equipment around other people and other vehicles and things like that. Could be an area of concern.
So they would get a permit when they win their bid. And that would open up the gate. And so we wouldn't, we would know when they're opening the gates, and that whole area is camera. So.
So we wouldn't have tons of people at one time.
Correct.
One,
right.
okay, perfect.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Is this something that did you consider like staff time between public works and parks? I mean, they won't have to keep moving staged logs. I mean.
No, what they're doing now is all that they'll need to be doing for the process of it.
Hate to see them have to like get too far ahead and cutting, which has to happen.
Yeah.
And then there's too much here, and then they gotta move that from that site over to that site.
No. We're wrapping up cutting right now, especially with the snow event that we've got coming. So our plan was to be wrapped up by February, done with it until next winter. So, yeah, it's a winter job, so.
Then some trees that are, whether the degree of difficulty or the way that they are, a professional tree service has to come in, then that'll just be handled differently, or?
Yeah, so my intention, after talking to a few community members, it sounds like and maybe you guys know, but either the Dale or Reed Field community did this, and an entire company bought out the entire lot. And in this case, they'd have to put in one bid for each pile. But so my intention was to put some piles in larger, so they could bid on that. And then, I'm gonna be marketing this to say community members. I want community members to have the opportunity to purchase these too. So I don't know if that answers the question, but.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just don't want it all to be in huge lots that people can't manage themselves, yeah.
We looking for a motion then to,
I was just gonna say, do you wanna prioritize and have New London residents first?
We can't, since it's a public bid, I don't think we can go about it that way. I know that we can't when we're selling vehicles, and I feel like this would probably be a similar situation.
Then open up to everyone
Yeah,
equally. Yep.
I initially did want to do that, but yeah.
So you said this is a winter project for the city to be
Yep.
undertaking.
Yep.
So if a community member calls in and says, hey, we've got one that a storm just came through, or there's a tree at the intersection of X and Y, and it's taken some severe damage, can they call the city and say, okay, this one is really bad, will somebody go out there and look at taking it down, even though it's not winter?
We do storm cleanup
like
on a, yep, and it's this is this is just for our ash tree removal. We go case by case basis all year round.
Yeah, if there's a reported city tree that's hazardous, yes.
Right.
So we will address it.
Yep.
Any other discussion on it? And then I look for a motion for action on the ash tree disposal policy.
I'll make a motion that the city puts it on bids for disposal of the ash trees.
I second it.
Motion was made by Bernie, second by Taylor. Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. States report, Ginger.
Okay, going through the annual report. Got it. All right, first of all, I'd like to thank Chris and the staff for putting this together for me. It gives a rundown of 2024 and the things that we did. First of all, I'm going through our boat launch. This pie chart, Johnny, really shows how much you do for us. So just want to thank you for that. 81% of our permits, our annual permits were sold at John's. So that renewal that we had this year was definitely worth it. We brought in $8,690 in revenue from the annual permits, and then our daily boat launch fees brought in $7,319. We did have 54 dock and river raft permits, so managing 54 dock and river rafts this year. And 64 of the permits were sold to non-resident boat owners, so that's interesting fun fact too. As far as parks shelter reservations go, we had 107 reserved billable days, revenue of about $8,000. Shelter 2 was our most popular shelter. We had a lot of Hatton special events in Hatton Park, including the May Festival, the Classic Chevy Car Show, Rock and Corn Festival, couple color-thons, and the Snowblown Open. The Snowblown Open was actually this past weekend up at the shelters, and that's a disc golf tournament that brought in a good crowd. I haven't gotten final numbers yet, but last year they had, I believe it was over 100 people participating in that event. So reservations started May 4th, and that will be the same as this year. We start right away in May and go all the way through practically October. There were updates made to the Hatton Pavilion restrooms, and yeah.
Ginger, in that quick plan, he was talking about going to where we have festivals and stuff.
Yeah.
Would that be considered like our fall fest and stuff like that?
Absolutely. In fact, I think that Fall Fest would be a great place for us to have a booth that to do that at.
Sure.
Yeah. Might be wrapping up though at that time, but April has a couple other events. She has an event in June that she's going to be doing downtown, and a one in October, so that's past, but yeah.
So is Fall Fest gonna stay on Warner Allen?
Good question.
Last we've heard from
Yeah.
April, yes.
All right, so the baseball and softball diamond use. I like this chart because it shows me, as you know, we just renovated Pfeiffer Middle, which was, you know, kind of along the lines of one of the most used diamonds. Looks like I should think about maybe redoing Memorial South before I redo Pfeiffer South, because that has the most use by far. All of the others are no real surprise. Pfeiffer's where we have our big tournaments, and Memorial is our softball tournaments. good use out of Hatton Stadium as well with the baseball clubs there. We did finish up the seating area. That was a big capital project at Hatton Stadium. And was able to renovate a lot down at Hatton, including the diamonds, that we funded between the school district, the Hatton Stadium Foundation, and the city. Pfeiffer Middle, as I mentioned, was redone, partial funding from Minnesota Twins and the Youth Baseball Association. The Youth Baseball Association also installed those water lines for dust control, which we really didn't need this spring. But they will be coming for great use, I'm sure. 294 hours of grooming done by staff in the summertime. That's where our time goes in the summer. And then we move along to the senior center with Lori Schneider. Our new bus was purchased this year with 5310 grant. So that is out on the roads now. You should see it. It's got the new wrap on it. We've carried riders 8,892 miles, which is awesome. Those $3,865 in revenue are a suggested donation. And then we have a new driver and a new bus. For the senior center rentals, that is a big revenue for our department, whether it's the activity room, the community center, or the gymnasium. We also have had a couple outreach programs with the Fox Valley Literacy and local volunteers teaching English learning classes for non-English speaking residents. And then, of course, the DAV and DAVA and other local organizations meet there regularly, as well as a church. We are seeing, and I've mentioned this before, we're seeing a huge increase in youth sports groups using it. And then also just our programming. So if there was ever a need, it would be, and luckily we have opened up that north room to programming. We have not opened that up to rental yet. But I foresee that being a need because the community center or the community room is always booked with baby showers, wedding showers, family reunions, Christmas parties, Thanksgiving parties, everything you could imagine. It's always booked. So some of the senior center special events, classes, and programs. She continues to do her Gym Jam, which is a senior dance for her community. She's continuing the Caps to Benches program. They did 8 benches this year. Always looking for food items for the food pantry. They also are continuing, I'm sure you've heard of the ukulele classes that they have. They have a little group that plays at the senior center, teaches everybody what they've learned. And then, of course, we just signed that contract to continue Waupaca County Elderly Nutrition Program. They took field trips to the Timber Rattlers game, to an information fair in Waupaca, and then they did an Xavier Fine Arts Christmas program this year. Do a lot of great things for the seniors in our community.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Is there just certain times or days that you can donate to the food pantry?
The food pantry, I know that they're staffed on Wednesdays. We typically have boxes from programming up at the gym or at the senior center, and those are open all day. But Wednesdays are the big day at the food pantry. Yep. And then we moved to Morgan at the rec department. Her special events this year, she had 128 participants with the daddy-daughter dance. That's continuing to be a very popular program. She had 73 dogs at the Great Pup Hunt. It was a fun event that they had out at the dog park. And it was an Easter egg hunt. My dogs thoroughly enjoyed it. We had a youth fishing day this year. National Night Out continues to be a popular event. The haunted trail continues to be popular. And then, the reindeer boogie is picking up. I think that as we see the winter wonderland on the Wolf continue to have its successes, that the reindeer boogie will as well. She brought in, all of these programs are typically free or a small registration fee because the money is donated by sponsoring businesses, primarily Festival of Foods. So very, very limited fees, and she brought in $3,752 with that. All right, and then we have our exercise classes up at the Washington Center Gym. Total revenue on those about $10,000. We do 3 different options. You can register for them, do a drop-in pass, or it's like a membership. And then we also do offer individual personal training. She had 8 teams in her men's unofficiated basketball leagues, and co-ed softball teams, which those leagues, for a long time, we were seeing decreases in teams. And I thought at the end of my career in the recreation supervisor field, we would see those diminish, and they've only continued to grow. So that's a great thing to see, especially 9 teams in the co-ed softball league. And open gyms bringing in a steady revenue as well. That's an opportunity to have the teens brush off and steam on Friday and Saturday nights. For enrollment, just a rough, quick glance there, 90 at adult fitness, 146 participating youth programs, 35 field trips. She's offered 90 adult fitness classes. Sorry about that. 146 different youth programs, 35 different field trips, 79 79 enrolled in Camp Hatton, and then 556 open gym. Different events there. And then things that she's looking forward to, working with the senior center to do a puzzle competition. We see that a lot in a couple different area park and rec departments. Wanting to do a haunted shelter this year up at Hatton Park. And then we've had a lot of requests because we do the father-daughter event to do a mother-son event. And so she's thinking maybe a golf-in, which would be a mini golf theme party for them. And then to the pool. Things are going steady here. I am going to mention, I'd like you to see the 366 silver sneaker members there, because in my report, we are having some issues with insurance companies dropping silver sneakers. So it's primarily network health that we're seeing this, where within the last week, we've lost 15 silver sneaker members, and there's 50 that soon will not have insurance covering their passes anymore. So that's something that we're going to be working on, because as you can see, it's a huge portion of our membership is those silver sneaker members. So we'll be reaching out in the near future to them and finding out what we can do to better help them. But we are just a third party there, and it's really based on what their insurance offers them. So luckily, most of them have been switching to Optum with their insurance company. So hopefully that's what we'll see. Optum's actually a lot easier program to manage. So we're not sad about that, but still, hopefully these silver sneaker members don't lose their benefits. Just going through the memberships there. So it's a highlight. We had 740 enrollments with swimming lessons, 253 children at the underwater Easter egg hunt. That's always my favorite because I can remember doing that when I was at the pool. So it's good to see that that's still going strong. Once again, Jim does not offer those. Those are typically a sponsored event, so it bringing in any revenue for those is a bonus. We continue to have community partnerships with the swim team, the track club, track team, swim club. Wrestling is starting to come in and do practices at the gym. We've had Divers Realm for over 20 years coming in and working with us. The school district has incentives with their middle school program with us. Another wrestling team that comes from Shiocton just to practice in our pool. And then a new program is this Rasa Savannah, and she's doing water meditation and it looks amazing. So if you know anybody that needs to relax and loves to enjoy the pool, they do that on Sundays, and it's so cool. They light candles and have them floating in puddles, and it's a really like Zen experience as they promote. So that's a kind of a cool program that we're starting. That's hydro healing water meditation. So with them. Continuing to offer, we've had private adult swim lessons, which is kind of new for us. And then Jim would like to start, well, he actually has started to do some of these things. The water safety instructor training for swim instructors is a new thing. So lots going on down at the pool. And then this is just kind of a summary, and you guys have been active in all of these things. Getting that news transit van, our Tree City Awards, updates with the restrooms down at Memorial Park. We updated the special events policy to reflect changes. Hopefully getting going on that boat launch overflow site, the tree inventory that we passed tonight, future archery range that we discussed last meeting, and all of the things that we've been doing within this committee. So it's a great thank you to you guys. Look forward to celebrating the historical state designation also this summer. So that is to look forward to. Any questions on the state of the Park and Rec Department, I guess?
Just want to say you did a great job. This is the first time I've been on council. I've seen such a detailed thing of what you do.
Like, do we clap?
No, you clap to Chris because she worked really hard on that.
It's really appreciate it and showing what actually a lot of us don't see what's going on.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it's great to have that up there. Good job, Chris.
Great.
Well,
Yeah.
and I know that this will be the session, this meeting will be on YouTube, but
Yeah.
that PowerPoint would be great to have on the city site somewhere.
Yeah.
Going
That's the
through.
plan, and when putting it together like that, I thought that way we can throw it on our website and keep it up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So I guess my only other report that I had in conjunction with my director's report that you had already was received in your packets is that Silver Sneakers information that I received today is really discouraging to me. I know that those seniors need that membership to be covered by an insurance company like that, and for the network health to take that from them is really discouraging. So I hope that you know, the powers that be in the insurance world can find an alternative for them. I guess my biggest ask is that, you know, we're going to be communicating with those members and making sure that they understand that this isn't us taking their membership away from them, because it's not. We certainly want them to keep coming to the pool, and it's too bad that they would have to pay from their pocket. So, yeah, I was shocked that 65 senior citizens will be losing their memberships at the pool eventually. So that's a lot.
How much is that? Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head, do you know? Well, I got it. I mean, it's not a ton. But I know that they're on a fixed income.
Here you go, Ginger.
Yeah, that's what I have in front of me.
Oh.
So $40 a month. $30 a month. Yeah, and we get a portion of that back from the insurance company, so you know, I don't know.
So I work in the insurance industry.
Oh, yeah, you do, great.
And I think the reason that Network Health dropped Silver Sneakers is Silver Sneakers lost their contract with the YMCA's, like all of them in Wisconsin. So we're seeing some of the companies are changing to other Optum or other vendors because the Y is such a big deal to people.
Yeah.
But what the YMCA did for people who did have Silver Sneakers who were losing their Y membership is actually offered them like a discounted rate. So I don't know if we can do that for those folks and just give some kind of discount to keep them
going until they can find something.
Until, I mean, technically they can still make a change in first quarter if they're Medicare, if it's like a really big deal to them. But otherwise they're locked in until next year.
Yeah, yep. So we'll see how that plays out. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's all I have.
Okay, we review our next meeting date, Tuesday, March 4th. Anybody have anything else? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?